Hello, number ones. Welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today we are not starting strong. Alright, so I'm on Twitter, I'm on X, and you should come and follow me because if you don't, you're a muppet. You're a muppet. Link in the description, pinned comment everywhere to your convenience. Come on. Let's hit 30,000 followers. Let's go. The account interested as F has posted this. Let's watch it.
Legend has it that during the 12th century Crusades, knights facing years of battle far from home devised a grim solution to ensure their wives remained faithful and protected from assault: the chastity belt. Early designs consisted of iron plates covering the groin and rear, held together by a locked ring around the waist. A round hole was left in the back plate to allow for defecation, while the front featured an oval slit for urination, narrower than a finger, with sharp iron spikes around the edges to deter any unwanted attempt. Before departing, the knight would lock the belt and take the only key with him, believing this iron grip would keep loyalty secure. But by the mid-19th century, chastity belts were no longer exclusive to women. A new version appeared, this time for boys. At the time, self-pleasure was believed to harm both body and mind, so for protection, teenage boys were forced to wear a metal chastity belt even during sleep.
Okay. I just can't. Where do I even start? So, of course, I think you will have already figured out, you may have heard of medieval chastity belts. They're a myth, they're not a thing. They were never a thing, they were not done, it's nonsense. But before I jump into that and we discuss it and when it's mentioned and how it's mentioned and if it's mentioned and where the myth comes from and all of that, I would like to say that, well, first and foremost, I want to look at the nonsensical nature of this 3D representation. Because problem number one, these orifices, right? How are they going to work if she's going to wear it on anything that isn't their bare skin? Like, honestly, what's the point? Nothing is good. She's wearing the shorts. It doesn't work then. Either of the orifices are not going to work, right? Now, of course, you could tell me, no, it's because they had to be censored. They can't show full frontal naked. I get it, but you could pixelate it, I guess. You could put like a circle saying censored, but whatever. The fact that she's wearing shorts under it, it's ridiculous. Anyways, the other thing is that this is not anatomically accurate. The distance between it's like this much distance. It's not how the female body works. It isn't. Look at that. That's not how the female body works. Let's have a look at the myth, shall we? I couldn't help myself and I said it. I said it right here. Right here, guys. I couldn't help myself. 26,044. Can we get to 27,000? So whenever you think about this idea, you imagine these chastity belts, and sometimes you see stuff like this, and you're like, ooh, that looks real. So is this something that medieval, you can imagine, like, oh, well, yeah, medieval knight, he doesn't want to F around, he's going to fight in the Crusades, a beautiful wife stays home, it's one other situation, let me do the belt. No. The reality is that there is no real mention of these in a serious sense. Now, we're going to read an article from Live Science that I think approaches this in a way that is concise. It's a little superficial, but at least it kind of presents a good positions on it. Because the main problem, and I'm going to expand on it, of course, but the main problem with this is the fact that the only mentions have to do with satire. And in fact, I will connect to that because it's an important element of medieval society. What are chastity belts really? By Kate Goldbaum. Chastity belts, devices that were reportedly worn by women in the Middle Ages to prevent sexual intercourse, are often referenced in popular culture as an extreme method of enforcing fidelity. But these belts are curiously missing from most legitimate medieval texts, which initially puzzled historians. Why would it puzzle historians? So what are chastity belts and did women really wear them? According to curators at the Semmelweis Museum in Budapest, which displayed an exhibition on the history of the chastity belt in 2010, the belts were thought to be introduced as an answer to unchecked female promiscuity when knights left for battles, pilgrimage, or religious crusades. So basically, as you see, even a curator at a museum, not the first time that we see curators at museum fail miserably at their job. I mean, I've already got a video where I was dismantling. I might do a remake, in fact. I might do a remake, in fact, of someone saying, oh, yeah, museum curator, massive museum. And this guy is like, oh, yeah, look, this is samurai armor, which is light and nice and versatile, not like those tin can that couldn't even move medieval people. This is a museum curator specifically in the armor wing of said museum. So this happens, unfortunately. Museum curators, sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're absolute complete total shit. It happens. But as you see, it's the exact same myth that video was pushing. Classen, author of the Medieval Chastity Belt, a myth-making process, 2007 publication, told Time magazine that the devices were first mentioned in a treatise on siege machines written by Conrad Kieser in 1405. Yeah, and that's the satirical. According to Classen, Kieser was a German engineer and artist, and the concept for the chastity belt appeared in the afterword of his treatise. Initially, they were described as an imaginative joke, but the belt went on to become a popular subject of satire. And to be fair, we could objectively end the video here, because this already, in a very superficial manner, sort of covers the whole situation. But I'm going to go a lot more deeply because it's interesting. Academics began to question the authenticity of the devices when they could find no mention of chastity belts in any serious historical context. Yes, open quotes. No author of sermon literature or penitentiary texts or didactic and legal writers has ever mentioned the chastity belt, probably because already the basic idea behind it defies the basic needs of the human female body, Classen wrote. Not only is there scarce historical evidence that chastity belts were an actual undergarment in the Middle Ages, but there is no logic to support their existence either. Open quotes. How could these rough, hard objects be worn on the groin without causing deep and gradually more and more infected cuticular wounds within a few days? Experts at the Semmelweis Museum said. Yeah, sure, I mean, absolutely, yeah, I can see that. You could pad them. It's a lot stronger to say we have no evidence for it. No one mentions it in legal text, in anything, so it's nonsense, and we don't have them. Any object found in the medieval context, we just don't have them, so yeah, it's nonsense. Not to mention, whenever they are mentioned, is in connection to satire, clearly is a joke. That's a lot stronger. This is not that great, because it in fact shows that, unfortunately, sometimes experts as well, they may be experts of theory, but they don't know that something that is externally metal can in fact be padded with a liner inside. And so when you do this, I mean, it still wouldn't be sanitary, obviously, because, I mean, you can't change it, so you sweat in it, and you for how long? The whole freaking crusade? So, yeah, it's still nonsense, but not for the chafing reason. There are ways to avoid it. It's a little bit of a weak line of argumentation when you do understand how medieval iron garments work and steel garments work, armor of course, because they usually don't touch the skin directly. Metal almost never touches skin directly when it's worn, and this is something that goes all the way back to classical antiquity and possibly even the beginning of armor, whether it started in the Bronze Age or whether, like I think, started in the Copper Age. I agree with the overall conclusion anyways. Leslie Smith, a late 16th century historian and curator for the Tudbury Castle in the United Kingdom, agrees with Classen. In 2007 article for the British Medical Journal, she wrote, open quotes, I have travelled abroad and looked at art collections and, as yet, haven't seen a chastity belt that can be proved to be medieval in origin, close quotes. Yeah, that's great. We review iconography, we review depictions, art, mentions, literary mentions, and there's nothing. The inclination to believe the myth of the chastity belt is understandable.